You reached for the healthy choice, a handful of mixed nuts, simple, natural, safe. But one of them, just one bite, can increase your risk of liver damage by 48%. That number doesn't come from a blog. It comes from a 20-year clinical study published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology. And the most surprising part, this nut isn't rare. It isn't exotic. It's one of the most common ones in senior pantries across America. Most people believe they're making a smart choice, choosing nuts instead of chips, fats instead of sugar, nature instead of something processed. And that instinct is right, but it's not the whole story. Because not all nuts are created equal. Some are healing, some are harming. And unless you know the difference, you could be snacking on something that quietly raises inflammation, stresses your liver, spikes your blood sugar, and blocks the very medications you rely on to stay balanced. This isn't fear, this is clarity. Because what you eat after 60 doesn't just fill you up. It either rebuilds you or slowly takes something away. Your strength, your balance, your sharpness, your independence. Over the next few minutes, you'll discover the 4 nuts that protect your body after 60, and the 4 you should limit or avoid entirely. These aren't trendy headlines. They're nutritional decisions that can help you stay upright, energetic, and confident in your own body. You deserve to know, not from advertising, but from science, and from years of clinical evidence on what truly helps your body age well. So let's begin with the first nut that supports your bones, stabilizes your heart, and quietly defends your memory, one handful at a time. Almonds? Let me show you why they deserve a place in your daily routine. Maybe you've noticed it too. The stairs feel a little steeper, the ground a little farther away. You're careful stepping off curbs now. You hold railings when you didn't used to. And somewhere in your mind, you start wondering, are my bones getting weaker? Is it just age, or is something missing? This is where almonds come in. Almonds are more than a snack. They're one of the most bone-supportive foods nature provides. 1 ounce, just a small handful, delivers around 97 milligrams of calcium. That's about the same as a quarter cup of milk. But unlike milk, almonds offer something more. They give you magnesium, and magnesium is the missing key that unlocks calcium's true benefit. Without magnesium, calcium can end up in the wrong places, soft tissues, arteries, joints. But when both are present, like in almonds, your body can direct calcium where it's needed most, into your bones. This is what makes almonds a quiet powerhouse. They help maintain bone density without increasing cardiovascular risk. But it doesn't stop there. Almond skins contain plant compounds called flavonoids. Together with vitamin E, they form a natural antioxidant system. Think of it like a shield, one that protects your cells from the small, steady damage of daily life. Oxidative stress? It's a fancy term, but it simply means your cells are aging faster than they need to. Almonds help slow that down. And for your brain, vitamin E plays a role in memory retention and cognitive clarity. It doesn't reverse decline, but it can help preserve what's still strong. And for many seniors, that makes all the difference. Then there's heart health. Almonds contain monounsaturated fats, the kind that help reduce LDL cholesterol and support HDL, the one that helps clear plaque from arteries. They also bring fiber, about 3.5 grams per serving. Fiber helps keep digestion regular and supports cholesterol control. So with almonds, you're not just getting one benefit, you're getting a package. Bones, brain, heart, digestion, all supported by a single small handful once a day. That's the quiet power of almonds. And yet, they're just the beginning. Because the next nut on your list looks like the very organ it protects. And it does more for your mind than most pills ever could. Let's look at the one that helps your brain stay awake, alert, and alive. You forget where you put the keys, you open the fridge, and wonder why. You hear a name, and it feels just out of reach. It happens to all of us. But deep down, it can be frightening, because you wonder, is this normal, or is this the beginning of something more? That's why what you eat matters, especially now. And that's where walnuts make a difference. Walnuts are more than just brain-shaped. They protect the brain in ways no other nut can. 1 ounce of walnuts contains about 2.5 grams of alpha-linolenic acid. It's a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid. Omega-3s help maintain the structure of brain cell membranes. They keep the signals flowing between neurons. They help your mind stay flexible, so you can think, adapt, and remember. And as we age, that flexibility matters more than ever. Studies from Tufts University have shown that older adults who consume more walnuts perform better on cognitive tests. They maintain processing speed. They stay sharper longer. But the power of walnuts doesn't stop with omega-3s. They're rich in polyphenols. These are antioxidant compounds that can cross the blood-brain barrier. That means they don't just float in your bloodstream. They actually reach your brain cells. Once there, they reduce inflammation, and chronic brain inflammation is now considered a driving factor in cognitive decline, even in conditions like Alzheimer's disease. Walnuts also contain a small amount of melatonin. That's the hormone your body uses to regulate sleep. Sleep disruptions are common in older adults, and poor sleep affects memory, mood, and overall energy. So walnuts offer something unique, a way to gently support both brain and sleep. Without a prescription, without a side effect, just 1 ounce a day. And it's not about solving everything. It's about giving your mind a better chance to stay connected, to stay present, to stay yours. That is the quiet work of a walnut. And while it protects your brain, the next nut helps ease the pressure that weighs on your heart. Let's talk about the one that balances blood pressure and helps steady your sugar without making you feel deprived. You take the pills, you reduce the salt, you try to walk more, you drink more water, and still the numbers stay high, or they climb again the next week. Blood pressure, the silent weight behind so many health problems. You can't see it. You don't feel it until it's already done damage. That's why pistachios matter. They're not just a snack. They're a pressure-balancing tool that works quietly, from the inside out. 1 ounce of pistachios, just a small handful, delivers around 285 milligrams of potassium. Potassium helps relax blood vessels. It offsets the effects of sodium, and it helps your body flush out excess fluid, reducing pressure without pushing your heart harder. Studies from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition have shown that regular pistachio consumption can lower systolic blood pressure in adults over 60. And unlike medications, pistachios offer more than one benefit. They have a low glycemic index, which means they don't spike blood sugar. Instead, they support stable energy after meals. That's crucial for seniors managing prediabetes or type 2 diabetes. Their blend of protein, fiber, and healthy fats slows the absorption of carbohydrates, so your body isn't overwhelmed. But there's more. Pistachios contain lutein and zeaxanthin. These are carotenoids that protect your eyes, specifically the macula. Age-related macular degeneration is the leading cause of vision loss after 60, and pistachios offer a natural defense. These same compounds also support brain health. Emerging research suggests they help maintain mental clarity and may play a role in reducing age-related cognitive decline. So when you eat pistachios, you're not just managing your blood pressure, you're supporting your eyes, your brain, your sugar, and your heart all at once. And they taste good. No sacrifice, no stress. Just a quiet act of nourishment that you feel over time as your body thanks you in ways you didn't expect. But there's one more nut before we move to the ones you should watch out for. And this one is not about how many you eat. It's about knowing exactly how much to stop. Because too little can leave you deficient, but too much can become toxic. Let me show you the nut that supports your thyroid, your immunity, and your mind, but only if you treat it with care. Some nutrients you need more of, but some are powerful in small doses, and when it comes to selenium, a little goes a long way. That's why Brazil nuts are unlike any other nut. They aren't meant to be eaten by the handful. They're not a snack. They're more like a natural supplement wrapped in a shell. Just one large Brazil nut contains around 96 micrograms of selenium. That's more than the daily requirement for most older adults. Selenium matters more than most people realize. It activates thyroid hormones, it supports immune function, it defends your cells from oxidative stress, and it helps protect the brain from age-related decline. Selenium is also essential for converting T4 into T3, your active thyroid hormone. Without it, your metabolism slows, your energy drops, you feel heavy, tired, or off balance, and you don't know why. Many older adults, especially postmenopausal women, experience subtle symptoms like fatigue, brain fog, and weight gain. Without knowing, it may be linked to thyroid function. Brazil nuts can help, but only in strict moderation. Too much selenium can lead to toxicity. Symptoms include fatigue, digestive upset, brittle nails, hair thinning, even nerve dysfunction in severe cases. So the goal is not more, the goal is enough. 1 Brazil nut a day. 2 only on rare occasions. That's it. No more, no less. Because when you strike the right balance, you give your body the trace mineral it needs to stay energized, focused, and hormonally steady. And there's something grounding about this nut, something earthy and ancient, as if your body knows this is not a snack, this is a signal to your cells, to your thyroid, to your immune system, that you are still listening, that you still want to stay in charge of how you feel, that you still care about every choice you make. And now that you've met the 4 good nuts, it's time we look at the others. Because just as there are foods that heal, there are also those that quietly harm. Not in loud, obvious ways, but in ways that slip beneath the surface. Let me show you the 4 nuts that most seniors eat without question, but should reconsider starting today. They are everywhere, in snack bowls, in trail mix, in peanut butter jars on kitchen shelves across America. Peanuts. Familiar, affordable, and trusted. But here's what most people never learn. Peanuts are not actually nuts. They're legumes. And because they grow underground, they are far more vulnerable to mold contamination. That mold can produce aflatoxins. Aflatoxins are potent toxins linked to liver damage and, over time, liver cancer. Even low-level chronic exposure can impair your body's natural detox systems. If your liver is already working hard, processing medications, managing cholesterol, filtering sugar and fat, aflatoxins can add a quiet but dangerous burden. And here's what matters most for older adults. Your liver becomes more sensitive with age. It doesn't bounce back as easily. It needs protection, not hidden strain. But that's only one concern. Peanuts are also high in omega-6 fatty acids. That may sound healthy, but balance matters. Most older adults already consume too much omega-6, from vegetable oils and processed foods. Too much omega-6 and not enough omega-3 leads to chronic inflammation. That means more joint pain, more blood vessel irritation, and more stress on your heart and brain. Peanuts may seem like a simple snack, but for those managing arthritis, cardiovascular disease, or cognitive decline, they may be quietly making things worse. You don't need to fear them, but you should limit them, especially if you eat them often, or if peanut butter is a daily habit. Because sometimes The foods we trust the most are the ones that need a second look. And peanuts aren't alone. There's another nut creamy, sweet, and deceptively healthy looking. But behind that smooth bite is a spike in blood sugar and a risk for kidney trouble that most people never suspect. Let me show you why cashews may not belong in your bowl after 60. They feel luxurious, smooth, creamy, almost like a treat you don't have to feel guilty about. Cashews, sweet, satisfying, comforting. But here's what most people never see coming. Cashews are not as gentle as they seem. Unlike most nuts, cashews are surprisingly high in carbohydrates. Just 1 ounce contains around 9 grams of total carbs, with only about 1 gram of fiber. That means your body absorbs them quickly. And for older adults managing prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, that spike in blood sugar can come faster than expected. But blood sugar isn't the only concern. Cashews also contain oxalates. These are naturally occurring compounds that bind with calcium in the digestive tract. When that happens, they can form crystals, which may develop into kidney stones. For most people, that risk is low. But for seniors, especially those with reduced kidney function, a history of stones, or lower hydration levels, cashews can quietly tip the balance in the wrong direction. And here's the other challenge. They're easy to overeat. They feel light, snackable. 1 becomes 10. A small handful becomes a habit. But the impact builds not overnight, but slowly, through elevated blood sugar, through calcium loss, through added stress on kidneys that may already be working harder with age. It doesn't mean you have to eliminate them completely, but they're not the everyday nut many believe them to be. Cashews are better seen as an occasional treat, not a daily staple. Because when your body is navigating the changes of age, you want every bite to work with you, not against you. And if you think cashews are dense, there's another nut that takes it even further. High in calories, rich in saturated fat, low in fiber, and heavy on your system. It's the one that may look indulgent, because it is. Let me show you why macadamia nuts, though beloved, might be quietly stressing your heart, your gallbladder, and your overall energy. They look elegant, velvety, polished like tiny pearls of indulgence. Macadamia nuts, buttery, rich, a favorite in cookies, snack bags, and fancy nut blends. And while they may feel luxurious, they come with a cost, one that's easy to miss until it begins to weigh you down. Macadamias are among the most calorie-dense nuts on the planet. Just 12 nuts, only a small handful, contain nearly 200 calories. Most of that comes from fat, but not just any fat. Macadamias are unusually high in saturated fat. They contain about 3 to 4 grams per ounce. For someone managing cholesterol or taking statins, this matters because excess saturated fat can raise LDL levels, putting added pressure on the heart and the arteries that carry life through your body. But that's not the only concern. Their richness, what makes them so smooth and satisfying, can place stress on your digestive system, especially your gallbladder. The gallbladder's job is to help you digest fat. And with age, it often becomes sluggish or burdened by hidden gallstones. You might not know they're there, but your body does. Macadamias, with their heavy fat content, can trigger nausea, abdominal discomfort, or even painful gallbladder flare-ups. They're not poisonous, they're not inherently bad, but they're too rich, too dense, too easy to overeat, especially when your body is asking for lighter support. And unlike almonds or pistachios, they offer little in the way of protein or fiber. So while they fill you with calories, they don't give your body the staying power it needs. For someone already dealing with weight gain, slower metabolism, or low energy, macadamias may quietly be making it worse. Again, it's not about elimination, it's about intention. Macadamias should be an occasional treat, not a regular choice. in a body that's working harder to stay balanced every day. And now, there's one more nut to address. It's small, slippery, and often considered gourmet. But for older adults, it carries hidden risks that go far beyond nutrition. Let me show you why pine nuts might quietly interfere with your medications, your appetite, and even your ability to breathe. They're tiny, polished, often sprinkled over salads or pasta as a sign of something special. Pine nuts, delicate, expensive, quiet. But beneath that gourmet image is a cluster of concerns that rarely make it into nutrition labels. Let's start with the strangest one, pine mouth. Within 1 to 3 days after eating pine nuts, some people develop a metallic, bitter taste that lingers for days, sometimes even weeks. Water tastes off, fruit feels sour, mealtime becomes uncomfortable, and appetite begins to fade. While pine mouth isn't dangerous, it can quietly lead to unintentional weight loss. And for older adults, that matters, because many seniors are already undernourished without even knowing it. Loss of appetite, even for a few days, can weaken the body, delay recovery, and increase fatigue. But that's just the beginning. Pine nuts may also interfere with medications. Certain compounds in them can affect how drugs are absorbed or metabolized, particularly blood pressure medications, cholesterol-lowering drugs, and antidepressants. These interactions are not always listed in standard guides, which makes them even more concerning for seniors taking multiple prescriptions. But there's one final risk, and it's not about nutrients, it's about swallowing. Pine nuts are small, slippery, and dry. In seniors with dry mouth or minor swallowing difficulties, common side effects of medications, or aging, these tiny nuts become an aspiration hazard. If inhaled instead of swallowed, they can lodge in the airways or make their way into the lungs. And when that happens, it can trigger coughing fits, infections, or even aspiration pneumonia. For healthy younger adults, that risk is low. But for someone with reduced saliva, weaker cough reflex, or unsteady swallowing, the danger is real. So while pine nuts may appear harmless, they come with more risk than reward for many older bodies. Better to admire them from afar than to risk what they may quietly take away. Now you know the 4 nuts to limit, not to fear, but to understand. Because when you understand the risks, you get to make better choices, smarter choices, more empowered choices. And now that you have both lists, the 4 that heal and the 4 that harm, let's talk about how to apply this knowledge in your daily life, one small bowl at a time. Now that you know the difference between what helps and what harms, let's make it simple to apply. No diets, no charts, just one small routine you can start this week. Call it a Sunday audit. Step 1, choose your core 4. Stock your kitchen with almonds, walnuts, pistachios, and Brazil nuts. Keep them fresh. Store walnuts and Brazil nuts in the fridge to prevent the oils from turning rancid over time. Rancid fats are more than just unpleasant. They can quietly cause inflammation, even when the nut looks fine on the outside. Step 2, use a small ramekin. Never eat straight from the bag. Why? Because even good nuts can work against you when the portions get too big. Your body after 60 does not buffer excess like it used to. Step 3, know which ones are for occasional enjoyment only. Peanuts, cashews, macadamias, pine nuts. You don't have to throw them away, but move them. Put them in a treat jar, not your daily drawer. Once or twice a month, on purpose with awareness, is very different from grabbing a handful every other day without thinking. Step 4, listen to your body. How do you feel after you eat? Do you feel lighter, more grounded, or more sluggish? Energy, memory, digestion, sleep, these are all feedback signals that your body sends you after every choice. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be consistent. Because the difference between inflammation and healing, between stability and decline, is often not about big events. It's the small things done daily that carry the most weight. The right handful of nuts can protect your heart, support your brain, strengthen your bones, and give you the quiet confidence that you are still choosing your path. But the wrong ones, even in small amounts and even with good intentions, can gently pull you away from the health you're working so hard to protect. And now that you know the difference, that choice is in your hands. Let's bring this together. There's something powerful about knowing what's in your bowl. Not just because it's healthy, but because it's yours, chosen, intentional, aligned with the life you still want to live. A handful of almonds can be a quiet promise to your bones that you still want to stay strong. A few walnuts can be a message to your mind that your thoughts still matter, that your memories still deserve protection. A small scoop of pistachios can remind your heart that balance is possible, even in a world that moves too fast. And one Brazil nut, placed carefully in the palm of your hand, can be your daily yes to thyroid health, to energy, to clarity. No fear, no extremes. Just truth and trust, and the quiet power of knowing that healing isn't about perfection. It's about choosing better, one small bite at a time. So, if this helped you see food differently, if you found even one line that stayed with you, then stay with us. Subscribe to Senior Fit. Because growing older does not mean growing smaller, it means growing wiser, stronger, and still moving forward. And if someone you love has ever said they're trying to eat better, trying to feel better, but nothing seems to work, send this to them. Your care might be the one thing that helps them see clearly what no one else ever told them. Stay curious, stay prepared, and never stop choosing the life that's still within reach. Because your future still responds to what you do today.